It was May 1999, and it wasn't Quinny 3001, but it was actually Quinny 11. I'd only just started really getting into football over that kind of year or two since Celtic stopped 10 in a row. We had Henrik Larsson. There was lots of really good stuff happening in Glasgow. And I don't know if you remember back then at the very end of the 90s, but everything was on Sky, and there was all these new camera angles and features, and press the red button, and all this cool stuff happens. Press the red button for boxing matches, for extra football matches. There was lots of crazy things going on. It was a lovely time to be growing up. But I made a mistake. I pressed the red button and I spent like, I don't know what it was, like 20 or 30 pounds or something like that on a football match for a playoff game in the third tier of English football, and I wasn't going to be watching it. I was 11 and it was sunny and I was on to doing better things. But my mum somehow found out that I had done it and forced me to watch it. I was stuck to the couch to made to watch this bloody thing, and wow, what a surprise I was in for. From start to finish, the playoff final between Man City and Gillingham was edge of your seat stuff, and it was the most exciting game of football I'd watched in my short football kind of time at that point. I love an underdog story. Everyone at my school supported Man United. They're from the east side of Manchester, and Celtic are from the east side of Glasgow. Man United were winning European Cups and trebles. Rangers had just did 9 in a row. It all felt quite around, it all felt quite right, This is my team. That's who I'm going to support. And, for the next kind of 15 years, it was a lot of fun in a lot of different ways. Watching the roller coaster up and down the leagues. And even before all the big money came in, Man City have always loved signing a big name. Not even Nicholas Anelka, but even before that, Robbie Fowler, God, Andy Cole, McManaman. They've always been into buying older players that were stars and stuff, all the way through the Thailand money, Sven-Goran Eriksson, before the guys from Dubai came in. But I've got to admit, for the last couple of seasons under Pep, I have been a wee bit detached from it all because it's just not quite as fun. I actually get this a lot. People saying this to me as a Celtic fan, like, oh, do you not get bored of winning the league all the time? And with Celtic, absolutely not, because Celtic, that's the thing up here, is winning and trying to be European greats, European champions from Scotland. That's kind of our stick, But with Man City, they were meant to be my underdog team. They were maybe my plucky underdog team that were going to rise up through the ranks, and, they have done, and that's been fantastic to watch. But for the last 3 seasons, really, who cares if they sell anyone and who they're buying and who their manager is, because they're going to be bloody top 2, top 3, every time anyway. It's all about the Champions League, and the way the Champions League is shook out, it's really got me back in with Man City over this year. And the way the tournament is shaken out, it gets so poetic, it gets so romantic again for me, because Celtic's European Cup win in 1967, which is a huge part of the club's identity and history, was a victory against Inter Milan. And Man City on Saturday night are going to be playing against Inter Milan in a European Cup final. And, the last final didn't go the way, wearing this shirt anyway. Hope it's not a bad omen. I've wore it today, but it didn't go according to plan, and there's been some better teams that didn't get by semi-finals and quarterfinals. But it feels to me that this could be the fixture. Pep is well bedded into the system. The whole squad is singing, dancing. It doesn't feel like there's going to be any curveballs in the starting 11 or anything like that. The Haaland pressure, Haaland has delivered. Grealish has went up a level. Bernardo Silva and Gundogan are in the best form of their Man City careers at this point. It feels like, never mind all the other guys, Rodri and everyone else, I think it's written in the stars so much. I think Edin Dzeko is going to pick up a goal in this game. Haaland has to score with it being a final. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kevin De Bruyne gets on the score sheet somehow, whether it's through making an assist or getting the goal himself. But with it being Inter Milan, and you know how Italians go, Celtic know firsthand. I've seen that game enough times to know how they do in finals. Never mind the Jose Mourinho Champions League final they had recently enough. So I think there'll be tons of cards in this game. There'll be tons of controversy on the pitch, from fouls, suspected fouls, penalty shouts. I think it's going to be quite pandemonium. It's going to be football. I think Italy will bring out the Catenaccio. They are going to try and mix it up and make it dirty. Celtic won on the day 2-1, and I could see the goals being of a similar nature. Maybe we get a banger of a decisive from outside the box. Inter Milan, if memory serves me, their goal was a penalty actually. So that maybe is a bit of an omen. And with Edin Dzeko being in the Inter Milan team, Edin Dzeko, I don't think he's actually won any trophies since he left Man City, but he's been brilliant in Serie A for Roma, and now for Inter, even at the ripe old age of 35 or whatever, 36. He's going to want to win this final as much as anyone else on the pitch, and, wouldn't it just be former player situation for him to pop up with a goal? So I think 2-1 to Man City is the scoreline I would probably be going for in this game. And how good is this? The guys at QuinnBet have enhanced their UK welcome offer, where you can now get a free bet up to £35. It's for new customers to sign up only. You can check out the full terms and conditions on the website, quinbet.com. The link is in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. By clicking on those links directly and signing up, you do support all the content here at the channel. I thank you in advance if you do so. It looks really impressive to me. Remember, folks, it is 18 plus and always gamble responsibly. But yesterday, the news rippled around the world that Messi is going to be joining Inter Miami. Now, again, I am just a disciple of football. I love football. I live and breathe this stuff. I watch as much of it as I can. I engage with it as much as I can. And it has been my lifelong ambition to just like do football, and that's my job somehow. And here we find ourselves. And a big part of that, like my dad's American. I don't know if you know that or if it's important or not, right? But for that reason, I've always paid attention to American football, particularly since Scotland haven't made it to many World Cups in my lifetime, but America have. So I've always had a team in the World Cup, if nothing else. And I've watched the progress of MLS from afar, the Beckham effect, and all sorts of other stuff that's happened. And the Messi transfer has been touted for so long. You know, it feels like it's been in the offing. It's been one of these promises that could happen one day. You know, really for the last like 5 or 6 years, it's been spoken about in rumour circles and all the rest of it. And to see it materialise with the fact that he's got buy options on the club, he's got profit share with all, you know, you've seen the deal details. You don't need me to tell you more about them. But MLS stands for me to become the league that saves football, if you understand me. And I'll explain if you don't. Whatever your stances are on big money in football, whether that be UEFA, whether that be Sky, FIFA, corruption, everything in between, it's all quite institutional within like the places where we find it. MLS is really an isolated entity, and because of the way it's constructed with that American sports model, there's such a wide, very fair spread of wealth between all the teams. They all have good players. They all have something kind of going on. And the difference between the good and the bad ones really boils down to a few different things, but primarily it's the cycle of their squad development. You know, the teams that are ripe, they've got lots of guys in good situations, fight at the top of the league, and guys that have just sold a few key players, or a few key players have just got a couple of years older all of a sudden and they're starting to feel it on the pitch. It's all about entertaining football. I know the clubs don't have tons of history and stuff. They are only like 20 years old or less. But again, I've been an NYC fan from a distance ever since they were founded, and one of the things I've always enjoyed about that is that I've watched, you know, I've been a part of every moment in that club's history, which I find kind of cool. I love Celtic being a really old club, and I love the history of it all, but I'm never going to have the chance to follow Celtic when they first get founded. Whereas with these American teams, you know, how attached you get to them or whatever is another matter for another day. But my point is, with MLS, I think, especially now that Messi's going there, the Apple TV deal, everything that's kind of pointing towards it, I can see it really becoming the entertainment league of world football. Ronaldo was out on Twitter the other day talking about how the Saudi Arabian division could become the 5th biggest league in the world. And I don't think it stands a chance against MLS. I don't think there's many leagues that stand a chance against MLS in the coming years once Messi goes there. Because if you were to spread designated players all across MLS and increase the viewership and the money and the talent quality with guys like Messi that are already in that division, never mind all the emerging talent that they're unearthing from South America into that division over the last few years, the North American talent that they're actually developing on the ground themselves, as well as then the guys from around Europe that we're seeing travelling over there, like Ricky Puig leaving the Barcelona academy, turning his back on tons of offers in Europe to go play in LA. Lorenzo Insigne leaving Napoli the year before they won the league. I bet you he regrets that now. Bernardeschi, we've seen it over the years, but it's happening in a really concentrated way right now. And Messi is like a comet coming into orbit, like nothing you've ever seen before. And I think, like, honestly, I thought this was going to be a historic weekend for Man City and for me in that sense. But honestly, I think for the world of football as well, if you think about even jumping 10 years from now, Man City winning their first Champions League will be a big moment for that club and really the modern football landscape. Because the whole CFG thing, we're kind of diving into some football philosophy stuff we'll maybe save for another day at this point, so I'll stop myself there. But Messi going to Miami, honestly, it's going to be absolutely huge. And if you're against all that kind of big money stuff and corruption, the MLS is a really fun, really easy league to just engage with and enjoy without worrying about all that politics and all that, you know, TV deals and money and blah, 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 all the rest of it. Equally, I would say if you like that stuff and the MLS doesn't tickle your pickle, but you want like old school 90s football, the SPFL is probably the league for you, by the way. The SPFL is like the last bastion of real football, if you get me. So just thought I'd throw that in as a little side note, guys. Have fun this weekend with the Champions League final, with any of your Sorare teams, anything else you're doing in between. Let me know in the comment section what you get up to. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and retweet, and all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.